I don't know what even to say. We're going to do a story on Jamie Dimon selling his stock. We did a live stream. This is the Economic Ninja on another channel, my brother's, the Real Estate Ninja. Now, the reason why I'm talking like this is because I'm a little thrown off, because the second I grabbed these important, I'm afraid to even touch them right now. There's a piece of cardboard with information on it about Jamie Dimon, and the second I started doing it, the stream gets shut off. So this is part 2. So type 1 if you think that I'm getting messed with. Type 2 if you think, nah, it's all in your head, Ninja. All right, but before I get to these notes, and I'm touching them, I'm touching them, YouTube. They're inside of here. Before I read this about Jamie Dimon and what's going on with his stock, I'm gonna read this story because I think it's very important and very poignant. Now the wind's picking up. It says here, how to play the beaten up bank stocks. This is out of Barron's. Very important to think about this. Bank stocks get no respect. Well, it's because banks are crashing. It says here, not even Aretha Franklin can save them now. Quarter after quarter, the nation's largest banks have proven their durability amid a challenging economic environment. Are you kidding me? Challenging, to say the least. Banks are crashing. Hold on, stand by. Warren Buffett has sold a ton of his bank stocks. As a matter of fact, he liquidated most of them before the crash started in the spring, almost like he knew what was going on. But his number 2 position, Bank of America, he's taken like a 23 or was it 30% beating? Point being is it's big, right? It says here, they also passed the Federal Reserve's stringent stress test in June, even after a spat of upheaval rocked the industry in March. Let me explain this. That upheaval, that little upheaval, was a bunch of banks collapsing, and it took out so much money that the FDIC came out and said, we are insolvent. We do not have enough money now to keep going forward. They went to the Federal Reserve and said, you need to ask the banks to pay more in insurance to the FDIC. And then the banks came out screaming and yelling. This is really happening in real time. Holy cow. All right, so that's the little squabble that was going on, right? It says here, regulators have had to admit that the sector has been resilient in the face of stress. No, it's not resilient. The Fed repo window is wide open and it is bailing all these banks out right now. This is what a crash looks like. And the only thing we're waiting for is the last little bit of the sheep to go, what do you mean everything's crashing? And they all go falling off the cliff. And then we're seeing it all over CNBC. Oh, everything's crashing, the stock market's going down, housing's crashing. That's what's happening. Blows me away. It says here, check this out, this is great. Regulators have had to admit that the sector has been resilient, right, in the face of stress, even as they prepare tougher capital rules. Earnings bear that out, with nearly 3/4 of banks beating earnings estimates, and the 6th largest ones, including JP Morgan Chase, ticker JPM, we're about to talk about that, and Wells Fargo beating on both top and bottom lines. But you wouldn't know it if you looked at many of the stocks, right? The SPDR, S&P Bank Exchange Traded Fund, has been trading in a narrow range since mid-March when Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank collapsed and Wall Street was in a panic over what bank would go next. We actually, since then, have seen 2 others fall in July and August. It says now investors are worried about what comes next for the economy and the impact on U.S. banks, which again fell this past week. Now, let me explain this. Oh, first off, this is not my channel, it's my brother's channel. He doesn't have a bro hawk like mine, his is more of a fro hawk, all right? Secondly, so give him some love and hit subscribe. That'd be awesome. I'm about to bring out this. Now, this is today's news. This is the big news. We're talking about how bank stocks have gotten beaten, right? But then look at these big banks, the nation's largest bank, Chase Bank, JP Morgan Chase, JPM for the stock ticker. Well, what's happening? Well, something that's never ever happened. So let's get the magical book of notes and hopefully the tubes don't shut this one down. Here we go. This is so big, I needed the biggest cardboard I get. This is out of Zero Hedge. JPM CEO Dimon, Jamie Dimon, let's make sure this is clear, dumps 140 million in shares after slamming the Fed forecast. I want to make this very clear. This is the first time Jamie Dimon sold his stock. It's a big deal. And why? Why would you want to sell? Well, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably trying to sell at the top. Regardless of how well Chase Bank or JP Morgan stock's done, it's very important to know that Warren Buffett sold a massive amount of his bank stocks before all this crash started in the spring. I called this banking crisis last November, type 3 if you remember that, and I said it was going to happen the first or second quarter of this next year based off of the FTX breakdown and those derivatives that were going to spiral out, and then what's coming in commercial mortgage-backed securities, right? So a lot of you guys remember me telling you that. All right, now, Jamie Dimon is not selling because he thinks the stock's going to keep going up. He's going to have a good reason in his filings and all that stuff. But just, you know, it's not because the stock's going to go crazy in the future. You don't sell before that happens. You sell before you think things are bad. It says here, for the first time in his long, tempest-full tenure as the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon has decided the time is right to dump 1 million shares in the mega bank. According to a regulatory filing Friday, Dimon and his family will dispose of 1 million of the bank's shares, which amounts to about $140 million. And the CEO's first such stock sale during his tenure at the company. It has been a great trade, as Bloomberg reports. Good job, Jamie Dimon. The increase of more than 250% in JP Morgan shares during Jamie Dimon's tenure has helped turn the executive into a billionaire. Lighting's all off. Take this serious. I have been trying to warn people about this banking crash ever since this channel started. We are now in the thick of it. And you are seeing the number one bank, the bank that's done the best throughout this entire banking crisis so far, the CEO now liquidating 1 million shares of the company's stock. The first time ever. I think it's a big deal. Because I think in 2024, we're going to see these banks come crashing down. Of course, Jamie's filing claims that this is all pre-planned and being done for tax reasons and diversification. Yeah, diversifying is something that's not going to crash. With the banks reassuring investors in a statement that Dimon continues to believe the company's prospects are very strong and his stake in the company will remain very significant. I just don't want the stock associated with all that magnificence. That's what he's saying. I'm paraphrasing. It's not what he said. I just made it up. What do I know? I'm just a dude with a brohawk and a dream. A dream of saving people from this crash. It says, but we couldn't help but notice the coincidental timing of the stock sale just hours after Dimon highlighted the fact that forecasters have missed the mark on their economic outlooks, and there's still reason for caution moving forward. In a panel at the Future Investment Initiative Summit in Saudi Arabia, the banker called out governments and central banks, and some more humility should be in order. Prepare, he says, for possibilities and probabilities, not calling one course of action since I've never seen anyone call it, Dimon said, per multiple reports. Hey, Dimon, it's Economic Ninja here. I'm over here calling it. Hi. He says, I want to point out that the central banks 18 months ago were 100% dead wrong, Dimon added. Hey, Jamie, just Ninja here. Last November, I called it. This isn't me being cocky, I'm just telling you the truth, Dimon. And I think this is the truth. I think that Jamie Dimon actually knows what's coming in the future. That's why his actions are louder than his words. But if you look at it, his words have been very loud. He's actually been coming out and saying, we got some serious problems. He's been very active in actually giving warnings. I know this, I made lots of videos about it. It's been great clickbait, but it's true. Ironically, Stop. All right, here we go. He says this, I would be quite cautious about what might happen next year. For all of you that are joining, this is not my channel. It's a Real Estate Ninja. It's my brother. I'm trying to help him out. Give the guy a subscribe, a thumbs up. You know, just his hair's got some issues. He needs help. So if you don't mind, I'm doing a cameo right now. Ironically, as Apollo's Torsten Slock points out in his latest note, boy, how did you like that name? What is your name? I am Apollo's. Oh no, that's where I work for. Torsten Slock. In his latest note, it's not just the Fed that is as often as always wrong. The market is the market is also almost always wrong about what the Fed will do beyond the next FOMC meeting. We've been covering this. It's like the market's cuckoo. Type 5, if you think the market's cuckoo. Type 6, if you think your family and friends are even more cuckoo. They have no clue what's going on. It's all right. Secret safe with us. Slock notes, looking at the chart, blah, 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 blah. It is remarkable how mean reverting the error is. When rates are low, the market is systemically pricing that the Fed will soon hike. That's actually not true. When the market's interest rates are low, the market actually prices in like it's never going to change. Ever, 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 ever. And we have just seen, think about this. We have seen the longest period in the history of the Federal Reserve where the base rate has stayed this low for this long. This is even longer of a period than what happened in 2002 to 2004. Very, very important. Why? Because you have given Americans that much more of a rope. It's longer because the time frame's longer to hang themselves with. Financially, of course. This is very serious. But, you know, hey, I'm just a dude, piece of cardboard. What do I know? Not a financial advisor. I'm just an investor and I want to make a lot of money. I want you to make a lot of money. Type 8 if you're ready to make a lot of money from this. But then he also says, when rates are high, the market is systemically pricing that the next move of the Fed is to cut. That is absolutely true. Now, think about this. Like I just said, he's wrong about the whole, when rates are low, they're always waiting to see when they're going to go up. That's not the case. People love monetary heroin. That's what cheap credit is. But on the flip side, when rates go high and people get uncomfortable, all they're thinking about, all they're begging for is for rates to go lower. Okay, so that is absolutely true. And that's what's happening right now. People are like freaking out. Like, when am I going to, my mortgage broker said I was going to be able to refinance this thing lower. It's not getting any lower. I'm getting freaked out because they're not going to be able to make their mortgage payments soon. And you're going to see this amazing massive defaults. It's actually already happening, but you're not going to see them in public until next May. And don't worry, I got a plan for it. But he says here, this is what Stock says. He goes, does Jamie Dimon's stock dump signal that he has a lack of faith in the Fed's ability to pilot the ship through the stagflationary storm ahead? Yes, that's what I think. Type 9 if you agree. Fiscal spending is more than it's ever been in peacetime, and there's this omnipotent feeling that central banks and governments can manage through all of this stuff, Dimon said. Yeah, he says, I am curious about what will happen next year. Well, why is that? It's because Jamie Dimon knows. Everything comes to a head so that the government can put out a bunch of fires that it started just so that people vote a certain way. It's getting serious, everyone. Hope you got something out of this. Give my brother some love. He needs it. The channel, it's just not... Give him a thumbs up, like, subscribe, whatever. Ninja is out. Don't tell him I was here.